$20,000 a month. That's what came off my number. Not from a bad decision, not from a market crash, not from anything dramatic. Just a slow, steady bleed that I watched unfold and couldn't seem to stop. I want to tell you what exactly happened, what I did about it, and why I think the way that it resolved matters well beyond sales. Because I think a lot of men right now that are watching this are in some version of the same situation right now and don't quite know how to get through this. They don't have the language for it yet. So my name is Mario. I'm not a therapist. I don't have a psychology degree. And I'm not going to stand here and tell you that I have life figured out. What I have is about 30 years of building things, walking away from things, and learning the hard way what actually moves people forward, including me. So here's the setup. The company I work for decided to restructure client books that they were organized. They decided fewer accounts per rep would be the right decision. The official reason was strategic. My read was simpler. Some of us were out earning our managers, and that tends to make organizations uncomfortable. So the books got smaller. At the same time, the broader economy was doing what it was doing. Interest rates were up, business owners tightening, and a sentiment hardened amongst the clients that I was trying to reach out to that went something along the lines of, all you're trying to do is get me to spend more money that I don't have. So they stopped picking up the phone. And it wasn't just me, the whole team was down. I want to be honest about that. This wasn't a Mario problem. It was an environment problem. But here's the thing about environment problems. They're real. And they also are not an excuse because some people figured them out and some people don't. And $20,000 a month has a way of making you very interested in being one of the people that figures it out. So my first instinct, and I guess this is what most people's first instinct would be, was to push harder. More calls, earlier mornings, tighter pitches, more of what has always worked before. In fact, that's what leadership was pushing. It didn't work because the problem wasn't effort. The problem was that the playbook that I was running had stopped matching the moment I was in. And no amount of running harder was going to change that. So I stopped and I asked a different question. Not how do I sell more? That question had me chasing my tail. My question I asked was, what does this moment actually require that I'm not currently doing? That's when I turned to AI. And I want to be clear about something because I think people hear AI and they picture a magic wand or a gimmick. This was neither. I wasn't chasing a trend. I genuinely didn't know what I was missing, and I needed a perspective that I couldn't generate from the inside problem. AI gave me that. What came out of it was a shift in strategy. Instead of trying to pitch clients who had already decided the call wasn't worth their time, I focused on re-engagement, getting back into the room, pattern interrupts. I started sending what I call fire emails, high FOMO, specific, the kind of message that's hard to ignore because it's clearly not a template. It's written for them, about their situation, with enough urgency that it earns a response. Not spam, not a mass blast, a well-crafted reason to pick up the phone. And they picked up the phone. And once they were on the phone, they were willing to listen. And once they were willing to listen, they were willing to buy. My numbers came back. I climbed back to where I'd always been. And then leaders started to reach out to me, pinging me, asking what I was doing, whether I'd be willing to come to their meetings and talk to their teams. But here's the part of the story that I'm most proud of. It has nothing to do with my own numbers. I shared it. When a colleague asked for what I had changed, and I didn't want to protect the edge, I showed them. I walked them through the approach, helped them set up their numbers, set up their accounts with AI, and let them see exactly what I had done. And more of them started using it. The floor began to shift. I started bringing it to my clients. And I don't mean I mentioned it in passing. When I sat down with my remodeling contractor, a guy running a small business, doing work, trying to close more jobs, I showed him how to use AI to communicate with his customers, how to take an estimate and how to present it the way that actually landed, how to use it to prepare more conversations with his prospective clients, so when he walked in, he was sharper and he closed more contracts. That guy had never touched AI in his life. But by the end of that conversation, he had an account and he had a strategy. I've thought about that a lot since, because What happened in that period wasn't about AI. AI was just a tool. What actually happened was a lesson that I played out in every major transaction in my life. When the old playbook stops working, the answer is never work harder. The answer is get curious enough to write a new one. Most people don't do that. Most people, and I'm talking about smart, capable, experienced people, respond to a broken strategy by either grinding harder or they go at it and quietly give up. But there's a third option. Get curious. Ask what the moment requires. Go find it. And then, and this is the part I'd underline, share it with the people around you. Because the people who actually thrive in a shift aren't the ones who find a new playbook and hold it close. They're the ones that hand it to everyone in the room. So here's what I want to leave you with. Think about something in your life right now where you're pushing harder at an approach that isn't working. Not a place where you need more discipline or more effort. A place where the strategy itself might be the problem. What would it look like to stop and ask what the moment actually requires? Instead of just doing more of what used to work? That's the question. Drop me a note in the comments below and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. I'm Mario. This is the channel, and thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.